Hi guys, welcome back and hello if you are new. So this week I am picking right up where 2020's The Entombment of Chaos left off in the form of Skeletal Remains' brand new album, Fragments of the Ageless. So if you might not be familiar with Skeletal Remains, they definitely are in that death metal realm, but very much kind of take from, I think, early 90s death metal, very much so, but have a very contemporary way of putting it forward. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of tipping of the hat to different kind of classic death metal bands on this album, you know, Cybernetic Harvest and also To Conquer the Devout. They really had kind of a suffocation, morbid angel kind of feel. But then Forever in Sufferance also kind of reminded me of Cannibal Corpse. There were elements of Decapitated on here, Deicide, you know, like Hate Eternal as well. There's a lot of different things going on here. But I have to say the songwriting is very much more kind of contemporary, whereas the ideas and the overall kind of vibe of this album, I think, is more in that classic 90s route. There's definitely more technicality, I think, where the band are concerned here, but it doesn't necessarily sacrifice the songwriting that I think has been really kind of Skeletal Remains' bread and butter. This also marks the arrival of a new drummer and new bassist in the form of Pierce Williams and Brian Rush as well. And the two, I think, are really a match made in heaven. I think the rhythm section particularly have always been quite strong, but on this record, I think that they've really locked in with each other and they really know exactly where they need to be. And I think, you know, choosing a track, Unmerciful, is without a doubt my favourite song on the album. It's the longest track on the record and it is really interesting because it moves through so many different kind of like sequences and does so really quite effortlessly as well. And I think overall, each of the tracks on this album are exploring a little bit more. They're kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit. Not massively, but a little bit, you know, which is something to kind of like bear in mind. And of course, there's lots of kind of like groove, which is, you know, usually when Skeletal Remains kind of kick into gear. So Cybernetic Harvest and Verminous Embodiment are two examples of that groove kind of like really kind of hitting home, I think. And I have to say, the production on this album is absolutely amazing. It was mixed and mastered by Dan Swano, and I think there's a real clarity to it. You know, the drums sound really big, but also the guitar riffs are quite like razor sharp, so they impact nice and hard, and coming together, I think it really is a great combination. In terms of the album's themes, for me, it kind of gave me this sort of like ancient summoning kind of culty sort of vibe, you know, like evocations and things like that. And apparently Dan Seagrave finished the album's artwork before the band had kind of like figured a theme. So it is kind of that sort of idea of, you know, the ageless, the timeless and all that sort of stuff, and this sort of like entity, I guess, which is, you know, pretty death metal. And you can kind of get that vibe with Ceremony of Impiety, which is kind of the album's interlude. And then the end of Cybernetic Harvest has this sort of like sample kind of thing, but it does have that sort of archaic feeling to it. So Skeletal Remains may not necessarily be reinventing the wheel, but there is absolutely no denying their proficiency in writing a fucking killer death metal tune. And I have to say that I think the record is very slick. They've trimmed all of the fat this time. There's 9 tracks, technically 8 if you want to be like that, you know, and 1 interlude, but all of the songs are there for a reason, and they're, you know, they have a purpose. And I think because it's not too long, I think it clocks in at about 42 minutes as well. It's not too overbearing. And as much as, you know, solos are really great in Skeletal Remains, I've always loved their solos. I think it's the harmony sections that I really love. And again, Unmerciful's got a wicked section. I mean, it's got like 3 different solos really, to be honest. But To Conquer the Devout has some really nice sections where those harmonies come in, and that's for me where it kind of like ups the ante a little bit more. And if you're after a 90s death metal suffocation style death worship then really I don't think you could get anything better than Skeletal Remains. They're slowly but surely experimenting a little bit more, and I think this is one of the most accomplished death metal albums we will hear this year for sure. And it may not be sort of like, you know, a masterpiece. There are some tracks which do kind of sound quite similar. It is a very, very, very good death metal record. So for that reason, I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10. So I hope you guys enjoyed this album review. Let me know what you think in the comments underneath me. And this is the year, I'm going to keep saying it, that I try and get to 10,000 subscribers. So please, if you have anyone who you think might be a fan, do let them know. And if you're a new fan yourself, thank you so much for watching. And it'd be great if you could hit that like and subscribe button. But yeah, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys very, very soon for another album review and some interviews. Take care, my friends.